He might stop him, man. I ain't gonna hold you, man.
Canelo Alvarez got one of the best chins.
Yeah, but hey, listen, he ain't been hit by Terrence though. Terrence can punch, man. You know what I mean? I know he's been in with some of the great punches and all that, but them punches got to be placed right. You know what I mean? And Terrence placed them punches, man.
I can totally see Crawford outboxing Canelo, like bad, making him look like taking him straight to school. But again, I do not see Crawford stopping Canelo.
The rivalry between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez is reaching new heights, with tensions flaring and verbal jabs intensifying. Crawford has remained adamant that Canelo poses no real threat to him, and their recent heated face-off, culminating in a near brawl, underscored just how serious this feud has become. For Crawford, the controversy isn't just about the fight inside the ring. It's a strategic campaign aimed at shaking Canelo's dominance, particularly among Mexican boxing fans. The Nebraska-born champion, known for his cerebral approach to boxing, is now applying that same calculated mindset to the promotional arena. He's openly challenging Canelo's claim as the undisputed icon of Mexican boxing, a bold tactic that echoes Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s legendary mind games, yet with Crawford adding his own sharp-edged style to the psychological warfare.
I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do
obviously.
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not Kovalev.
Canelo Alvarez has long embraced the Mexican flag, both literally and symbolically, as a cornerstone of his identity. His pride in his heritage is central to his public persona, serving as a powerful connection to his homeland and fueling his ascent to global superstardom. He wears that pride openly, almost defiantly, challenging anyone to question his place among the legends of Mexican boxing. But now, Terence Crawford appears to have found a potential crack in that ironclad image. While Canelo's resume is filled with accolades, critics have often pointed out that his career has been managed with business savvy as much as boxing legacy. Crawford, ever the tactician, has seized on this narrative, not only critiquing Canelo's fighting style and matchmaking, but also targeting the heart of his support, his bond with the Mexican people. In a bold and provocative move that recalls the psychological tactics Floyd Mayweather Jr. once used against Oscar de la Hoya, Crawford recently dropped a line of merchandise featuring his own image imposed over the Mexican flag, emblazoned with the phrase, "Viva Mexico." This wasn't just a marketing ploy. It was a strategic declaration. It directly challenges Canelo's standing as the standard-bearer for Mexican boxing and aims to fracture the fan base that has long stood behind him. Crawford's play speaks to a deeper sentiment among some boxing purists. Despite Canelo's immense popularity, a faction of fans has grown skeptical, pointing to what they view as selective matchmaking and a preference for big paydays over legacy-defining bouts. These critics draw comparisons to icons like Julio Cesar Chavez, Salvador Sanchez, Ruben Olivares, and Juan Manuel Marquez, fighters who, in their eyes, took on all comers, prioritized legacy over business, and embodied the raw grit that defines Mexican boxing greatness. To that segment of fans, Crawford's challenge may resonate. He's not just positioning himself as Canelo's rival in the ring. He's painting himself as the embodiment of the values they believe Canelo has strayed from.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody like that. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Crawford's new t-shirts are more than just merchandise. They're a calculated message aimed directly at a specific segment of boxing fans. By branding himself as the fighter willing to face any opponent, regardless of the payday, he's positioning himself as the antithesis of what critics claim Canelo has become. This marks a pivotal moment in the pre-fight narrative, where mental advantages can be secured long before a single punch is thrown. Renowned for his unrelenting pressure and ability to dismantle opponents both physically and psychologically, Crawford is now applying that same intensity to the promotional battlefield. It's a daring strategy, one that risks alienating some of Canelo's deeply loyal supporters. But it also frames Crawford as the hungry underdog, a fighter with something to prove and a chip on his shoulder.
Along my career, I've been criticized, and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments, just off of pure hate. So, what would they be able to say with me going up 2 weight classes? If Canelo become undisputed again, and I beat Canelo, what could they say? They'll say something, but they're gonna make a...
Despite all the theatrics and psychological warfare, the financial stakes of this fight cast a long shadow over the buildup. According to multiple reports, Canelo is expected to earn over $150 million for the bout. A staggering sum that far exceeds any purse Terence Crawford has ever received. This payday underscores just how monumental the fight is for both men, not just in legacy, but in financial reward. However, it also adds fuel to a growing criticism.
Sizing him up, and I'm like, all right, well, Canelo 5'7", my arm's longer. Yeah. He's strong, I'm strong. Right. To me, skill for skill. Right. Because Canelo's not the biggest 168 fighter. So, I just started.
Despite all the theatrics and psychological warfare, the financial stakes of this fight cast a long shadow over the buildup. According to multiple reports, Canelo is expected to earn over $150 million for the bout. A staggering sum that far exceeds any purse Terence Crawford has ever received. This payday underscores just how monumental the fight is for both men, not just in legacy, but in financial reward. However, it also adds fuel to a growing criticism.
What do you think of Crawford Canelo? There's a lot of talk about it. I think Canelo wipes the floor with him. I love Crawford. I told you when Crawford and Spence that Crawford would beat the hell out of him, but Canelo is a different proposition. It's an interesting fight, but I think there's only one winner. What fight?
Why do you think he wipes the floor with him?
What?
Is it because of the weight difference?
It's because Canelo, Canelo.
He's not in there to entertain the public, he just takes the big check, Aram continued. But if Canelo really decides to fight, because it's safe to say Terence always does, then it could be a very good and interesting matchup. This sentiment reflects a growing frustration among fans who believe Canelo, once known for his explosive combinations and relentless drive, has transformed into a calculated businessman more focused on preserving his brand than proving himself in the ring. In stark contrast, Crawford has built his reputation on being a no-nonsense warrior, a fighter who steps into the ring with bad intentions and approaches every bout like it's a defining moment in his legacy.
Crawford to win this fight. Crawford's very talented, great footwork, great combinations, and a very strong fighter. He facing him off, he's actually the taller man. So I'm leaning towards Crawford now. I switched my opinion. I think Canelo looked too slow, too flat-footed. One punch at a time. I don't think that's going to be enough for him to beat Crawford. Crawford's too fast, too strong, just too...
However, there's an undeniable physical hurdle in this matchup that cannot be overlooked. Many critics question whether Crawford, who has spent most of his career at lightweight and welterweight, can effectively handle the sheer power and physicality of a natural super middleweight like Canelo. This challenge goes beyond simply adding muscle. It demands a fundamental change in Crawford's approach to the fight. Such a leap carries substantial risk, a risk that has proven catastrophic for others. For example, Gerald Charlo was thoroughly outmatched when he moved up 2 weight classes to challenge Canelo, serving as a stark reminder of the dangers involved in such a transition.